Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Question says, هل يجوز للمرضع أن تفطر ومتى تقضي وهل تطعم? Is it lawful for a breastfeeding woman to break her fast? And when does she have to make up those missed days of fasting? And is she allowed to give food instead of making up the missed days? الجواب: المرضع إذا كانت تخاف على ولدها من الصيام بحيث ينقص اللبن حتى يتضرر الطفل فإن لها أن تفطر، ولكنها تقضي فيما بعد لأنها تشبه المريض الذي قال له فيه: ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. فمتى زال المحظور تقضي إما في وقت الشفاء لقصر النهار وبرودة الجو، أو إذا لم يكن في الشتاء ففي العام القادم. أما الإطعام فلا يجوز إلا في حال كون المانع أو العذر مستمرا لا يرجى زواله، فهذا هو الذي يكون فيه الإطعام بدلا عن الصيام. Answer says, the woman who is feeding children, she's breastfeeding children, if and when she's afraid upon her child that if she's going to fast, that her milk will become her milk source will be depleted and her child will become harmed thereby, then she is allowed to break her fast. She is allowed to avoid fasting in the month of Ramadan. But she has to make up the missed days afterwards. She has to make up the missed days afterwards. Very similarly, or in a very similar manner, to the sick man or the ill man, or the sick woman or the ill woman, the sick Muslim, the woman who isn't breastfeeding, who isn't pregnant, the one who's ill, who's mari'd, he is allowed to break his fast. She is allowed to break his fast and to avoid fasting during the time of illness and sickness. As Allah the Exalted says in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 185, and whoever is ill or traveling, then he or she must make up the days afterwards. Allah wants ease for you, and Allah wants not hardship for you. So whenever the inhibitor, whenever the reason behind a Muslim not fasting, whenever one's legitimate excuse goes away, then they are to make up those missed days. Whether it's in the wintertime, because of the short days and the cooler weather, or if it isn't in the winter, the next year, whatever the case may be, those days must be made up. As far as it'am, feeding a poor person for every day that you missed, then it is unlawful. It is unlawful unless the prohibition, or unless the inhibitor, the mani', the reason that prohibited you, the reason that stopped you, the reason that inhibited you, the reason that prevented you from fasting is continuous, is a continuous thing. As far as if the sickness or the thing that stopped you from fasting, anything that inhibited you from fasting, if it's temporary, then you must make up the days, and you aren't allowed to feed. You aren't allowed to make it'am for those missed days. This fatwa is given by Sheikh Muhammad bin Saalih al-Uthaymeen. May Allah have mercy upon him. And of course, as we've stated many times before, a layman Muslim, a 9 to 5 Muslim, a Muslim who isn't studious or learned of the Quran and the Sunnah and of the knowledge of Al-Islam, he asks the people of knowledge if he doesn't know. He asks them if he doesn't know. And he takes what they say. As far as studying, as far as other views or different opinions, other proofs and evidences, then that's a different story. But you take what you get, you take what you have. It's clear, simple, and easy. For the layman, you take that until proven otherwise. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.